Today, we're diving into the European Baccalaureate, or the BAC as it's known. It's this really prestigious, world-renowned qualification. But right now, it's kind of caught at a crossroads between its incredible forward-thinking promise and some pretty tough real-world problems. So yeah, let's get into it.
I want you to look at this number, 34.33%. Now, this isn't just some random stat I pulled out of thin air. This was the actual failure rate in a key subject from the 2024 BAC exams. A number that high, it just makes you stop and ask, what is going on here? And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What does a number like that, or heck, even one single flawed question on an exam, actually mean for a student's future? Because for these kids, the BAC isn't just some abstract idea. It is the key, the one thing that opens the door to university, to their future careers. The stakes, they're just incredibly high.
So, to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to look at the two sides of the coin, the amazing promise of the BAC and the very real problems students are running into.
First, let's talk about the promise, because it's a good one. The BAC is genuinely innovative. It's all built around competence-based learning. That means it's not about just memorizing facts for a test. It's about developing actual skills. Critical thinking, problem solving, being adaptable. It's multilingual, it's multicultural, it's designed to create graduates who are ready for anything. It's a top-tier qualification, no question.
But, and this is a big but, here's the problem. For all its great ideas, there's this major resource gap. Think about it. If you're studying for the IB or, say, the UK A-levels, there's a massive world of textbooks, study guides, and past papers. BAC students, they just don't have that same level of support, and that puts them at a serious disadvantage right from the start.
And this is where things get really interesting, because it all comes down to two totally different ways of looking at the system. From the institution's point of view, the macro perspective, a few flawed exam questions are, well, statistically insignificant, a blip on the radar. But for the student, the micro perspective, that one blip, that statistical error, it doesn't feel rare at all. And this just puts it in perfect focus. Just think about that. You're a student, you've studied for years, and you sit down for a 10-question exam. If just one of those questions is bad, that's a potential 10% knock on your final grade. For that single student, the impact is absolutely massive. We're talking about the difference between getting into your dream school or not. So you have to wonder, why do these problems even exist? Well, to figure that out, we need to understand the unique pressures that are squeezing the whole European Baccalaureate system.
Well, for starters, the BAC is tiny. We're talking only about 2,000 graduates a year. That small scale makes it really hard to create a big market for study materials. Then, you've got this insane linguistic complexity. Exams have to be written and then translated perfectly into a ton of different languages. The chance for error just skyrockets. Plus, the schools themselves are all different sizes, and making any changes is a slow, painful process, because you need all the member states to agree. It's a lot.
But here's the twist. That small size, the very thing that's causing all these resource problems, it could actually be its greatest opportunity. You know why? Because smaller systems can move fast, they can be agile, they can innovate way quicker than some giant, clunky bureaucracy. This is the key idea, turning a weakness into a strength.
Okay, so we've got a handle on the problems, but what about fixing them? Well, the good news is there's a really clear 4-part plan on the table to tackle these challenges and hopefully turn things around.
The whole fix is built on 4 pillars that all have to work together. You've got content alignment, making sure what's taught is what's tested. Then there's examination quality, transparency, and finally, accountability. You can't just do one of these, they're all connected. It's the whole package or nothing.
All right, part 1, content alignment. This is pretty straightforward. To fix that resource gap we talked about, the idea is to create official, high-quality study guides in a central online hub. This would finally give students and teachers a clear, reliable set of materials that actually connects the syllabus to the exam. Simple, but a total game changer. Part 2 is examination quality, and this one's a huge mindset shift. The goal is what's being called a zero-defect policy. That means you stop treating errors like a rounding error in a spreadsheet. Instead, you treat every single one as a serious issue of fairness for the student it affects. It's about putting the individual kid first, not the overall statistics.
Part 3 is all about transparency. You can't build trust if you're not open, right? So this means publishing annual reports, showing exactly what went wrong with exams, and, crucially, how it's being fixed. It also means actually listening, sending out proper surveys to students and parents, and then showing them that their feedback is leading to real change.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, accountability. And wow, this chart right here really tells the story. With the European BAC, you can basically only appeal if someone messed up the paperwork. You can't appeal the actual content of the exam. Look at the others, the IB, A-levels, the Abitur Germany. They all have ways for students to challenge the substance of an exam. The BAC is a total outlier here.
So what's the fix? Well, it's a big one. Create an independent European Baccalaureate ombudsman. Basically, an impartial referee. A place where students can go with legitimate concerns and get a fair hearing. A real path to getting things made right when the system fails them.
Okay, so a 4-part fix sounds great on paper, but how do you actually make it happen? What does the road ahead really look like?
Well, the proposal doesn't try to boil the ocean all at once. It lays out a practical 3-phase roadmap. You start with some quick wins in the first 6 months, like publishing those quality reports, just to build some trust and momentum. Then you move on to the bigger stuff, like rolling out the new study guides and the digital platform. And finally, you get to the full modernization, which includes setting up that all-important ombudsman. It's a real plan, not just a wish list.
And look, if they can pull this off, everybody wins. For students, it means clear expectations and way less anxiety. For teachers, it means better support without someone micromanaging how they teach. For parents, it means transparency and a reason to trust the system. And for the BAC itself, this is how it cements its reputation as a true world leader in education.
Which really brings us back to this one final massive question. The BAC's small size has been the source of so many of its problems. But what if it could flip the script? What if, through agility and innovation and a relentless focus on every single student, it could turn that very weakness into its greatest strength? The path is there, and honestly, the future of this amazing qualification really depends on it.